Hansel and Gretel. Once upon a time, there was a woodcutter who lived with his nephew Hansel, his niece Gretel, and his awful wife.
Hey, where are our parents?
Who knows? Anything can happen in a fairy tale. Maybe they went on vacation. Don't worry, I'm sure we'll meet up with them at the end of the story.
Hansel was an easygoing lad and found this to be a perfectly acceptable answer. They all lived in a tiny cottage near the woods. They had barely any money, and the woodcutter's wife always complained that the cupboards were empty. One day, she hatched a plan.
Hansel and Gretel, those two brats, they're going to eat all the food. We have to do something. Let's take them to the forest for a picnic. We'll give them some bread and leave them there.
Leave them there? No way. And who only serves bread at a picnic?
Quiet, you twit. You follow my plan, or I'll kick you right out of this fairy tale.
See? I told you she was awful.
Luckily, Hansel and Gretel overheard them.
What are we going to do?
Shh, quiet. Follow me.
Hansel crept outside and Gretel followed. He picked up white pebbles that gleamed in the moonlight.
Great! We're going to be abandoned in the woods and you're picking up pebbles?
You'll see.
The next morning, the woodcutter's wife woke the kids very early.
Get dressed. We're going for a picnic.
A picnic? With what? We barely have any food.
Hansel looked at his mean aunt suspiciously.
Well, we have bread, and we have, well, you like bread, don't you?
A bread picnic?
The woodcutter's wife stamped her foot.
Quit complaining and get your shoes on. We're going to the deepest, darkest part of the woods, and you're both going to like it.
Briar Rose. Long ago, there lived a king and queen who often said to each other,
"If only we had a child."
but they never did. After years of pining, the once cheerful queen would sometimes go to the pond to bathe alone and cry. On one of these days, to the queen's surprise, a frog hopped out of the water and said,
Do not cry, my queen. Your wish shall be fulfilled. Before a year has gone by, you will have a daughter.
The queen hardly dared to hope, but soon the frog's words came true, and the queen had a little girl.
We shall have a great feast to celebrate,
The king declared. He invited his family and friends, and also the wise women of the kingdom so they could meet his child.
but there are 13 wise women, and we only have 12 golden plates.
Said the cook. The king waved a hand and said,
Then tell one of the wise women she'll have to stay home.
he did not consider, until it was much too late, how this would make the uninvited person feel. The feast was splendid, and when it came to an end, the wise women leaned over the cradle one at a time to bestow their magic gifts upon the baby. One gave virtue, another beauty, a third riches, and so on. Everything in the world a person could desire. 11 of the wise women had made their promises when suddenly the 13th wise woman appeared. She was terribly angry that she had been left out of the celebration, and to punish the king for his insult, she cried out,
When the king's daughter turns 15 years old, she will prick her finger on a sewing needle and will fall into a deep sleep forever.
Her curse delivered, the scorned wise woman swept out of the room. Everyone was shocked, but the 12th wise woman, who had not yet bestowed her good wish, came forward.
I cannot completely undo such a powerful spell, but I can soften it.
She bestowed her wish that the deep sleep would not last forever, but would end after 100 years. The queen was horrified.
Don't worry, we'll protect our daughter from this terrible misfortune,
Promised the king, who felt solely responsible, for it was he who left out the 13th wise woman. He ordered his people to destroy every sewing needle in the kingdom.
Nothing can hurt our daughter now.
Years passed, and as the child grew, the gifts from the wise women flourished. The young girl was so beautiful, modest, good-natured, and wise that everyone who met her loved her. They called her Briar Rose. On her 15th birthday, the day the dreaded curse was to end, the king and queen were called away to attend to urgent royal business. They promised to return as soon as possible, for they had planned a huge birthday celebration for their daughter. But for the very first time, Briar Rose was alone in the palace. She went exploring all over the castle, from the cellar to the guard rooms, and at last came to an old tower. She climbed up the narrow, winding staircase.
Cinderella, based on the story by the Brothers Grimm. Long ago, there was a kind young girl named Ella who lost the mother she adored. Her father remarried a woman with 2 daughters. After the wedding, her father told Ella, "I'm happy I found someone warm and caring to nurture you while I'm gone." Then he left for his work in faraway kingdoms. The day he left, the stepmother and her daughters showed their true faces. Ella went to sit with them in the parlor, and the stepmother smiled at her coldly.
Did you think you'd keep company with us? From now on, you are to rise before daybreak and carry the water, light the fires, do the cooking, and wash until late in the evening.
You're our kitchen maid now, ridiculous girl. Get out. Go and do the chores.
The sisters took pleasure in making more work for Ella's tired hands. They dirtied clothing, spilled glasses, and even scattered peas into the fireplace.
You'll need to pick those out of the ashes, one by one.
In the evening, Ella had no bed. She slept by the gray, dusty cinders of the fireplace.
You're always so filthy. We should call you Cinderella.
Oh, yes!
And from then on, that is what her stepmother and stepsisters always called her. Ella, Cinderella, missed her parents terribly. Her personality was naturally positive, however, and she was determined to make the best of her situation. On one particularly gloomy morning, she looked out the window and said,
There has to be a way out of this. I must come up with a plan. And as I do, a song will help. A song can help brighten the dreariest of days. Someday, I'll make things better. Someday.